Hi, it's Judy at River City Sewing bringing you this week's video news. Well, this week has been a little bit upside down with a few of our crew out being sick. So it's been all hands on deck here trying to keep everything running. Thank you to all the customers who put up with me in the classroom this week. It was fun getting back into the classroom and hopefully you've had a fun week. I know I've had a fun time catching up with many of you and it's been interesting for me to come back in the classroom for a little while, and hopefully you've learned a little bit more about your machines and a little bit more about the fun things we've been doing this week. So thank you very much for coming in and having fun with us. For those people who we've had to postpone for a few days or a week or so, our apologies, but I think you'll get the reason we've done that is to give you the best experience as possible with your Know Your Machine lessons. So for those of you who had been postponed, we look forward to seeing you back in store, and we hope that you enjoy your Know Your Machine lessons when Rob gets back on deck next week. So one of the fun new things this week I wanted to show you was, I'm so excited because I love Alison glass patterns and her fabrics and all those kinds of things. So I've been lobbying for a while, and finally we have some of Alison Glass's Pulsar handcrafted range, which is really, really beautiful. So it's lovely fabric. It's got this little cross print on it all the way through this whole series, so that you have some beautiful colorways in there. And we've done them up into fat quarter bundles, and we also have some mini jellies, so that gives you one strip of each of the colors in this series. Okay, so girls have cut them all up and they're all ready to go. So this particular fat quarter bundle is $165, and these jellies are $37.95. So if you just need want to do a little bit of a taste of what it's like with these Alison glass prints, then the jelly. But if you really love it like I do, you've got the fat quarter pack. Now, many of you may not recognize some of the Alison glass patterns, but if you've been in the store and you've been upstairs, you would have seen my fractured star quilt that's up there called Luminary. That is one of Alison Glass's. And we have a lot of patterns here, and I'll bring them all out. So you may have seen this one is that we have upstairs. That's one of Alison Glass's, and you could use this particular collection to make your own one of those. So that's fun. So Alison Glass makes some beautiful quilts using her collections. Now they lend themselves to have a little bit of pattern on, or you can use a little bit of solids. So these Pulsar designs for the handcrafted collection would be fantastic for these. So lots of fun patterns that we have here. We have Aura, which is really nice, really good for a modern home. Then we have, some of these ones here. So lots of different modern style quilts here from Alison Glass. And we now have the matching fabrics. So we've started with this Pulsar. So it's a handcrafted range. So really beautiful designs, really beautiful fabric as well. So $165 for the fat quarter pack and $37.95 for the jelly roll. I call it like a mini jelly or a jelly roll sampler part. So that's one of every type. So, and patterns. So these are interesting if you'd like to do something a little bit different and especially if you have a more modern home. Her designs and her fabrics work really well for a modern home, especially if you just like it to be neutral with a spot of color. So things like Prism would be a great quilt for that, and add a little bit of fun to your home. So that's Alison Glass and the Pulsar range. So it's interesting, as many of you are updating your homes or building new homes with a more modern style, sometimes traditional patterns don't always suit a modern home. Now, as you saw earlier, I showed you the Alison Glass and how she has some really interesting modern style patterns and more up-to-date patterns. So there are a few designers who do that really well. I mean, Tula Pink is one of them, and we've got her book back in as the modern sampler quilt, so which would also lend itself beautifully to that Pulsar collection. So that's really great. But there's a new book that's come out that we've got in it. It's called Urban Quilting. Now these quilts are designed for a modern home in its design. So if we're using lots of neutrals and we're looking for designs, sometimes a traditional pattern in its current form doesn't really work. But in this book, there are quite a few patterns, and I want to show you a couple in particular. Where are we? It goes through the process of quilting from start to finish, talks about your basics, and we're getting really interesting designs, some dimensional like this one here, some are a little bit more adventurous. So we have these really interesting designs, but if you could use them in different colors to suit your decor. So if you like the Hampton style, you could do some really interesting patterns in those blues and teals and all those different grays and things like that to match your decor. When you see the color rings that are in here, they may suit some homes, but it's all about tailoring it for yours. But instead of having traditional quilts, you know, with the center and borders and all those kinds of things, these have a different take and they're a little bit more modern. So when we're looking at modern color collections, it's in more home decor style collections, it's generally at the moment, from the trends we've been seeing, is the muted grays and the light blues and the stark whites and, you know, lots of different neutral colors. So I'm going to show you a collection which I've shown you before, but I think it's going to be, it'll sort of, bring home that sort of color palette, which is, this shows you in a nutshell a lot of the different colorways. And you can see this one, this is the Primitive Gatherings collection, but you can see this is the palette. So we're going from dark blacks to dark grays, right through the color spectrum of the gray to the creams and down to the whites. So that is a really modern color palette. And the same way, you could use blues. You could use that off slate blue, Newport blues, all those kinds of blues with white in your Hampton style home. So lots of fun things. So if you team up a book like Urban Quilting with a collection like these, and you can see it's just a lovely range, you can get some quite interesting quilts come out that will suit your modern home. So come in and take a look. There's a few collections around that we have that may suit your modern home. So one of the new products we've got into trial this week is, it's a product from the Gypsy Quilter. It's a heart-shaped matte cleaning pad. Now if you have a look at it, it's got these little ridges, all different directions, shapes and sizes. Now the idea of this is that you slip your hand in there and you clean your rotary cutter mat. Okay, so we're going to give it a go. So the idea is that you rub it over the top and it removes any of the items that are caught in your cutting mat. So it's pulling out, well, this one is well used, and it's going through and pulling out all those little pieces of lint and fabric and thread, and it's pulling it out, which is really good. So with these, you need something to be able to clean out the grooves in your mat, and this is one way to do it. Those little, it's almost like little fingers, and then you've got little pieces going one way, and then you've got these pieces going another. So it's there to sort of rough up the surface, to pull out those bits and pieces. So it's getting out lots of wadding cuts. It's really working really nicely, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but it's pulling out lint out of my mat. So it works. So these ones are $21.95, and they're nice soft sort of rubber, but they do work. They are bringing that stuff out of my mat, and this mat gets used so much every day, and it's pulling out all those little bits and pieces. So you can see lots of lint coming out on that. So great investment to keep your mats nice and healthy. $21.95. They're called the heart-shaped mat cleaning pad. So put an order in for yours, and we'll make sure that we get heaps more of these, because now we know that they work nicely. And you can save your mat and give it a good rough up and get rid of all those little pieces of lint and things and extend the life of your mats. So one of the fun jobs that we have from time to time is bringing you interesting accessories. Now, accessories are one of those things that if you're doing a job, there's generally an accessory for your sewing machine that should make it a lot easier. Now, our accessory wall, we have different sections for each of the brands. So we've kept them, branded together so that you have a direct choice. So you don't have to go sort of searching through the store to find them. They're all contained either on the wall or within these display units. Now, I'm going to take Pfaff as an example, because there are lots of different feet that you may not know that exist. All right. So many of you are aware that most of the machine companies bring you quilting feet, or free motion feet, buttonhole feet, gathering feet, invisible zipper feet. And these are all designed to make your job a lot easier when you're doing those particular projects. But there are some interesting feet that you may not know about. If you'd like to do decorative work and you don't have the right ribbon, or you know what you want but you can't find that particular braid or trim or something like that, they do have cording feet. Now, cording feet allow you to put thread or cord, like I'm talking thick thread, through little holes in your foot, then use a little zigzag stitch to sew it down so it looks like a three-dimensional braid. Now, these are quite a lot of fun. Now, Pfaff have a range of them, or pretty much every brand has a range of them. But the other interesting feat that I wanted to show you in Pfaff, and let me just find it. Okay, these are your rolled hem style feet. Turns the edges. Imagine, just think about a handkerchief, all right? If you think about that for a minute, that little rolled hem it basically turns the edge of the fabric and then sews it down at the same time. Okay, so these are across all the different brands. This one is unique because, as being a Pfaff, it actually can use your IDT. So if you have particularly slippery fabric, for example, you can use this particular rolled hem foot and still use your dual feed as you're going along. So if you have some slippery fabrics, or a little bit harder to handle fabrics, maybe have a look at this one. Now, this doesn't come with a machine. It used to come with older Pfaffs quite a while ago, so you may have one already if you've got an older Pfaff, but if you don't, come in and have a look at this one. Now, we've had a few people ask us about leather and vinyls. These, obviously, you're making zippered pouches with these new vinyls and pleathers and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes your foot will stick to that particular leather or vinyl. So you've got two options, and I'll show you both of them here now. So one is a Teflon foot. Now, most brands have a non-stick or Teflon foot. So this is what it looks like. Now, this particular one, and I'm showing Pfaff today because each month, each time I want to show a different brand, but again, has the dual feed system in the back, okay? And that's Teflon. So that means it's got like a Teflon coating underneath, so it helps to stop it sticking, okay? In some things it will still stick, so that's why you've got to have a choice. But in some things, the non-stick or the Teflon foot is very helpful, okay? However, a roller foot is very interesting. So it's got two little rollers in, and I'll take it out of the box so you can see. Okay, so this little roller foot Hang on, let me just close that up. I don't know if you can see. Rolls along with these two little rollers underneath the foot. So the idea is only those two little rollers touch the fabric. So the idea is that when you're going along and it's sort of grooved, I don't know if you can see that, but grooved little wheels, it'll float over the top as you stitch. Okay, now these are, you can move your needle position either side because it's got a an open mouth here, so you can move the full needle position. And the roller feet work really well on things like PVC, vinyl, leather, those kinds of things, where sometimes when you lower the presser foot, it just, the foot just wants to stick, even with a non-stick foot. So the roller foot is really interesting. So if you're doing zippered pouches and you're doing anything with leather, top stitching, all those kinds of things, maybe if your brand has something like a roller foot, which most of them do, come in and have a look and we can show you exactly how it works and just how cool having the right tool or the right foot is for your particular project. And I think that you'll have a lot more fun and a better finish on your products, on your projects I should say, when you have the right foot for the job. So accessories can be really fun and make your life a lot easier, so why not come in and ask us about all the different accessories for your machine. So it's one of those things when you go through your sewing room and you take stock every now and again of all the different stuff that you have. Some of your haberdashery items, you may forget that you've used them, or if you find extra ones, but some are not quite the right size. So if you can see here, we've got a lot of different haberdashery items, fittings, fixtures, pins, all those kinds of things. So take stock of some of your supplies and just give us a call. We hope to have a lot more on our website soon when our new shop goes up online. But in the meantime, if you're looking for something in particular, why not come in and have a look at our haberdashery wall? And also, we can't keep every item in store. So if there is something in particular that you would like, come and see the team here and we'll be able to see if it's accessible for us, if we're able to order it in for you. But we're always open to helping you the best way we can. So that includes things like we've got a range of zips, we've got a new range of 40 centimetre zips for bags and things like that, buttons, we've got loads of different things here. So why not come in, make sure that your stash is up to date and ready for those projects that you have ahead, especially now that Christmas is, we're in the the third quarter of the year, Christmas is coming. So if you're starting your Christmas projects, why not take stock of your stash, get all those patterns out, materials out, well, get all those things that you need so that your sewing can go through pretty quickly and easily without delay. So in saying that, this is Judy signing off and wishing you a happy week, and we look forward to seeing you back in store really, really soon. Take care out there and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.